أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. This is a podcast of Deen of an Old Woman. Today I think it would be nice to look at the attributes of Allah, and in particular just one attribute of Allah, that is Ar-Rahman, which obviously there's a surah called Ar-Rahman as well, and Allah tells us about himself. He introduces himself. He tells us our relationship with him, about the creation, about our creation, and all other things. I think it'd be nice just to look at 4, 5, or 6 just verses of the surah, just to understand a little bit what the word Ar-Rahman means to us. Ar-Rahman is one of the core description of the central names of Allah. It refers to his extreme excessive love, care and kindness to all of us. Nothing in creation is more kind than Allah. The surah opens with Allah introducing himself to the reader, assuring them that your Lord, your protector, your caretaker, your director, your eternal companion is the most loving and compassionate. Some Sufi says that the whole of creations is woven with mercy of Allah, that His mercy extends everywhere. And it's up to us to realize that, to become aware of Allah's mercy in our lives. The more we worship Allah, the more we follow His commandments, and the more we follow the teaching of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the more the mercy will ascend on us, and the more easy life will become. One of the miracles of the Quran is how Allah describes so much in just few words. And Arabic is such a rich language, it has many levels. So one word, a root word, can have so many different levels of meaning, so many shades of meaning, so many dimensions of meaning. So Allah describes in a couple of verses of Surah Ar-Rahman that the whole surah, it as everything, as all the other surahs, it describes how much the surah, the Quran, is a benefit to us. And that our relationship with the Creator, and how the most important thing in life is the Quran, which has been taught to man. Just like oxygen is necessary for our existence, so it is by living by the Quran, the direct word of Allah, inserted in space and time to guide and give us peace. So Allah has sent down this Quran for our guidance. It directs us. It shows us what's right and wrong. It shows us how to live this life in the most peaceful way. So the first verse of Surah Ar-Rahman is that Allah describes himself, that he is the most merciful. And then Allah goes on to speak about that it's the revelation that has come from the most loving and caring, and it is one of the greatest signs that is grace and favor, that he is the source of all light, and this light is diffused throughout the universe. Without his light, we will be fumbling in darkness, tripping from one challenge to the other, or just falling down, not finding our way around, and being disturbed all the time. It's the revelation that connects us with the one true God, who begins to take care of every small and large need. So Allah tells us in the second verse about that He's the one who revealed the Quran and how powerful this Quran is, establishing our relationship with the Creator and with the creation, and how to go about living in this way of life. The Quran has been mentioned before man's creation, and the scholars tell us that there are many reasons why Allah has mentioned that. And one of the reasons is that when Allah created everything, He told the pen, commanded the pen to write everything down. And part of it formed the Quran that we have. Furthermore, the Quran is a manual for the functioning of human being. So it tells you how a particular thing works best. Without the manual, product is worthless because we don't know how to use that product. Take the example, if we were by the sea and an object was washed ashore, something looking odd, we wouldn't know what it is unless there was a manual telling us some sort of instruction, a blueprint that tells us what it is. Quran is just like that. When we don't read it or implement in our lives, it has no meaning or peace. So the Quran is a manual for guidance. It shows us what to do. It gives us a lens to see reality as it is. So when we clearly see life and the challenges and the problem that we are facing, we know how to solve them. In the fourth ayah, Allah tells us that it is He who has taught man speech. When we look at our history, how first human being, how they accumulated and gathered knowledge, and how it was passed on from one generation to the other generation. Allah tells us in the Quran that when He created Adam, Allah taught him all the names of all things. This shows that language is such a mercy of Allah given to us, bestowed on us. The body is from the earth, but language is from heaven. So both things meet on the horizon to form a human being. So this language that we take it for granted, it's such a blessing of Allah that He has taught. And you can see a little baby when they start developing language, how fascinating it is. Because language is a gift from God. It's been taught directly from God to our great-great-grandfather Adam alayhi salam. And it's the main feature that sets us apart from the animal kingdom and is given to the rise of civilization and technology today. The fact that I am speaking and that you're listening is through this wonderful technology that came about by Allah teaching us the names of everything, and then we human beings, with the mercy of Allah and the permission of Allah, we accumulated knowledge bit by bit over the previous generation and the next generation, and they built and built and built, and we are where we are today with this technology due to this language. The word for intelligent speech in Arabic is called bayan. It's intelligent speech. It's powerful, and it has the capacity to relate or to explain, to elucidate what the thought that what's going in our mind. And look how we use language to explain our emotions and our ideas. It's fascinating how an idea forms in a person's brain, and then God has given them ability to use this language to explain the idea, to bring it into the physical realm, and then it progresses to another level. This sophisticated speech is the ability of the human intellect to think clear ideas. So we have these ideas, and then sometimes in our head we play around with those ideas. We pull those ideas or these thoughts apart, and then we combine them and mix them to create new ideas. And then we use speech to relate or to tell others about these ideas so that they can be taken to another levels. For humans, it's really important, this tool of speech, which can influence, it can create things, it can influence human behavior, it can do so many other things, because when you see somebody who's unable to speak, you see how difficult it is for them to express themselves. And we all human like to express ourselves, and God has given us this gift of speech. It's amazing that when you look at the past 100 years, 150 years, maximum 2 years, you see how human beings have developed because of language. And I always marvel the ability of human mind to make aeroplanes. How wonderful it is that we can fly from one place to the other. Had it not been for the language, we will not be able to communicate ideas and develop them. This ability to deliver clarity of ideas is the building block of all human civilization. We hardly reflect on language, but if we were to count Allah's blessing, Allah tells us in Rahman, we'll never be able to count how much Allah has blessed us. From the air to breathe, from the air we breathe, from the language we speak, from our taste buds, from our perception, our hearing and our sight. What a great blessing. Eye itself is such a miracle of Allah. The 5th ayah, Allah talks about the sun and the moon and how sun and the moon and how they mention the exact constant movement by drawing our attention. Allah tells us that how each one follows and it has a regular, constant movement. Look how Allah makes it easy for us to see the obvious visible sign to illustrate that there are exact mathematical law in our great astronomical universe which bear witness to Allah's wisdom and also by His favors to His creatures. So Allah created the sun and the moon, and as you know, the obvious advantage that we have from the sun and the moon. Not only this planet would not be able to exist without light and energy and the ability to see things. So there are so many benefits. So sun and the moon is like a clock and a calendar, isn't it? Like the sun is like a clock. And that's why when we pray 5 times a day, we see the sun's movement. And the moon is like a calendar. So Allah tells us in the Quran how we count our days by looking at the moon. Furthermore, these heavenly bodies, the sun and the moon, reminds us of the perfection, consistency, structure of their function, and that we should look at them, learn from them, benefit from them, and bring that structure into our own personal life. Any successful person will tell you that they have to have some sort of structure, discipline, and efficiency in their life in order to achieve. These things can be seen in Allah's creation, and they're there for us. They are signs for us to gain great benefit and to learn. So we should bring structure, efficiency, discipline, and consistency in our lives to deal with day-to-day challenges. This harmony and discipline display in the heavenly bodies are reminders for us that we too should try to organize our lives externally and internally. That we should also be aware how we should go about living this life and not wasting time. Utilize this time for our benefit. Often when I speak to people, I say to them, the best thing for you to do is divide the day into different sections. So sometime you learn, sometime you read, sometime you write, or you do some other creative activity. Utilize the day, because the day is never going to come back. It's constantly moving forward. And we have free choice how to utilize this valuable day. So this structure should be applied externally and internally. So much so that it should also impinge on our moral values, that we should develop principles in life and live by those principles. Allah has given us a free choice. So we have to develop and we have to do good and benefit so that we benefit from it and others benefit as well. We should make sure that whatever task we do, we should do it to the best of ability and good planning, discipline, organization, perfection. Success comes from the one true God. We have to put the effort. This world is about putting effort, but ultimately success in Allah's hand. Isn't it amazing how we work together with our Creator? That we put the effort and Allah gives us success. Another sign of the sun and moon is that the source of timekeeping, as I've said before, like the clock and the calendar. So all these heavenly bodies and their earthly vegetation and the mountains and everything, it all has a purpose. I was looking at a documentary the other day and it's really interesting. They were saying there is a form of a marble found in a mountain which remains cool. So you can use that marble to make buildings, especially the floor. So no matter how hot it is, it still remains cool. Look at the mercy, how Allah has created this planet for every benefit for us. We just have to find out, investigate, put effort in, and then success will come from Allah. Then Allah describes in the 6th paragraph of Surah Ar-Rahman that it draws our attention to the fact that the vegetation such as trees and herbs bow in prostration to show the wonder of His creation by worshipping Him. Can you imagine how everything in the universe is worship one true God? And when we too worship Allah, we become in harmony with all the universe and we have calmness. We are doing what we're supposed to be created for. Just like everything else is worshipping Allah. We should take lessons from these things and see how, now scientists have found out that the tree communicate with each other through the roots and that they make a sound as well, which shows that they too have a language to worship God and to express gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's quite funny that, if we compare human beings to trees, some trees are like wood. Similarly, when the humans outright disobey Allah, this causes suffering to others, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make them fuel for fire, just like when we burn dry wood in the fire. Some trees are lush and thick, and they're like people who take care of others by giving them shade. And the other trees that give fruit and feed others, and some people are like that, God-fearing people who have taqwa. They assist others, or they do service to others by feeding the homeless, by establishing soup kitchen. And subhanallah, these are just example, just to reflect on how the tree symbolizes different human beings, just the way different trees are. That's how different human beings are. And going back to Surah Ar-Rahman, Allah is the most merciful, and His mercy, He takes care of all His creation. He takes care of you and me and everything. Thank you.